Audio equipment can be an intimidating area to deal with, so let's take a look at some basics. Here we have equipment for a simple microphone setup. There are many variations on audio equipment, so we won't get into some specifics that don't universally apply. We'll start with the speaker stands. Make sure the locking mechanisms are engaged before adding the speakers. For maximum stability, the support braces should be parallel with the ground. Once you add your speaker, lock it in place and make sure the stand is stable. Some speakers require power and some don't. Plug in your power and your input as applicable. We can then plug in the other end into the audio mixer. Repeat the process for additional speakers. Now we are ready to add our wireless mic. Wireless systems are comprised of a transmitter, a receiver, and cords for power and input to the mixer. Like the speakers earlier, plug in the power, the audio out, and the input to the mixer. Make sure you've got fresh batteries and finally put it in place on the podium for your sound check. Now we'll look at the mixer, probably the most intimidating part of an audio setup like this. There's a lot going on here, but it gets simpler as you break it down. Most mixers are color-coded and mapped out on the surface. Starting at the top, we have the input and output options. From the left to the center, we have inputs for source devices like a mic, DJ equipment, or a musical instrument. Just to the right of center is for recording and monitors, and on the right is input options for speakers and effects. The knobs below handle the mix for the inputs and the master volume. The white decals around the knobs show them in correlating groups. Each column of knobs is for the input above it. The knobs right of center deal with recording, aux devices, and effects. The main volume is in the lower right. Mixes will vary in size and design, but the general layout is largely the same between sizes and brands. The knobs are color-coded by type or relation. In this case, red pertains to volume, blue is the equalizer, yellow for effects, gray for auxiliary, and black for the pan balance. For general applications, effects and auxiliary won't play a role. Good equalizer balance is nice, but not mandatory for amplifying sound. For our one mic setup that we have here, the must-address components are these. Hopefully realizing this makes it a little less intimidating. Some speakers have independent controls, as they can be used on their own for smaller applications. So be sure to check and incorporate these levels when doing your mix, or for troubleshooting if all seems well at the mixer, but the sound just isn't right. Keep your station neat so that import sources are clear and troubleshooting can be more easily addressed if something comes up. We set this up somewhat hastily for the video, so now we'll clean it up to be more in line with a proper event setup. Generally the soundboard is in the back or hidden. Cords should be run to avoid foot traffic as much as possible and taped down and or covered where people will be crossing. We look forward to working with you for your audio needs for your next event.